How y'all doing? It's Judge Lynn. I'm checking my sound because now I'm paranoid about it. If you don't be quiet, dogs have been giving me the business, and I don't know why. But be that as it may, how y'all doing? I want to tell you, so first of all, someone named Kathy. Oh, and I had a whole thing, and now I can't find. Someone named Kathy emailed me when under here. Yeah, there's a link tree thing. It says Ask Judge Lynn, and she emailed me. She didn't ask me anything. She said, "You know the reason why I like to watch your videos is I don't think I'm that weird because." You say some of the stuff that you do, I do, or some of the feelings that you have, I have, and I always thought I was weird and wonky and alone. No, you weird, wonky, and with me. We will be weird and wonky together as long as we feel like it. Ain't nothing with weird and wonky. It's done well. I've done well with it. I've done well with it. If you're regular all the time, I was a weird and wonky municipal court judge. That's why I got a call from Fox. Because I used to. Anyway, I used to do stuff that was different. But anyway, for instance, this is the one I think they read about and saw. I had there was a report in the back of my courtroom because he had gone to the city council meeting and they were boring. So he said, I'll just walk in here and do something. So he walks in. I didn't know he was back there. And I had a whole bunch of Arabs on one side and a whole bunch of black folks on the other. Everybody was mad because some 10-year-old had stole a cookie or I don't even know if he stole it. Whether he was rude to the Arab customers, so that he brought his so-and-so back, and then the Arabs called that, this and then that, and nothing. Everybody was hot and seething and this and that and the other thing. And that basic story was amplified and put into my thing, judge me not. But anyway, so they had their own stories and all that kind of stuff, and everybody was hot. And I said, no matter what I do to this guy who I've got in here for whatever it is, harassment or this, that, or the other, these people were all going to go home and get to beefing. So before I read the verdict, I did step off the bench. I said, I want to talk to everybody in this room because everybody in this room going to be mad. Half of the room going to be mad no matter what I do. The other half not. And I said, none of you need to be here anyway. And then I went from person to person and asked them what they did in that. And I said, so all of this happened because a 10-year-old was rude. And I had them laughing. And one lady practically getting up leaving while I was talking. I said, where are you going? She says, I'm going to have a smoke. I said, not on my watch. You can poison your late baby later. Sit back down. I'm talking to you. And I didn't stop until I got them to laugh. Just a little bit. Because then I know there was a pause. And I'm going to tell you, I didn't hear nothing else out of that community. I knew I was going to get somebody going to come, but I don't know if I did that or not. But anyway, the reporter thought it was interesting, and like 6 months later, when he didn't have nothing else to do, he wrote it up as a story, and I think that's what they saw. Anyway, yesterday, first of all, I'm sick of myself. And several friends of mine have called me and affirmed, confirmed, gave a double check on, yes, you are. You are mushy. You're soggy. You are purposeless, and you know what I mean. You're not engaged all day long, and it's true. I watched myself over the weekend. And the time that I spend doing the wrong thing, which is scrolling, because there's a lull in the action, because there's usually some action around here, but there's a lull in the action, and I don't want to tempt it by doing anything. But then again, that took me in the wrong direction, because we all got to remember, there's neuroplasticity. What you constantly feed your brain changes how your brain circuitry works. You know, so I'm messed up my circuitry with all of that scrolling. Well, it's the weekend. It's just it gets you weak. It gets you weak, and it silos you down into some algorithm you have no control over. So somebody is marching your mind through schooling and feeling and stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute. Just because you know that that's how it happens doesn't mean it ain't happened to you unknowingly while you're doing this, just because you think you're aware. It was feeding my feelings without passing the menu by me. It was terrible. Just terrible. We are malleable people. We can get moved and shook and changed, and the times change, and the feelings and the cultures change, and you have to make a conscious decision not to be in that river, because that river is always rushing, and it's rushing to a waterfall. And I promise not to do any more of the water metaphors today, as I overdid it unbelievably yesterday. So now I gotta change everything. I used to wake up in the morning, get some coffee, mess with the dogs, and do Wordle and connect. I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna take a shower, I'm gonna get dressed. And I started that yesterday, and I messed up because yesterday I got dressed. The plan is you gotta get up, get dressed, and do 3 things you don't want to do. And I've done that this morning. I've got up, took a shower, got dressed, did 3 things I didn't want to do. And then my reward will be to come here. No, that's not my reward. It's my obligation. I need to come here just to remain sane. I need a community. And y'all it. But yesterday I did that too. One of the things I didn't want to do was clean out the shed, because there was more mess in the shed. So I got Junior, 6 or 6, and we went out there in 100-degree heat. It was like 98 something. We did too stupid to do it in the morning. We did it in the afternoon. Well, he slept late, but we got out there, we were sweating. I had the window open. We were picking things out the shed, and I was bringing it in the window, and then I would get back out the window, and he would bring a book. And like an hour in, I sat down. I said, I am tired. And he goes, Mom, you wimp. And I said, what you mean? He said, we only been out here an hour. And I said, boy, I was 3 years older than you when I gave birth to you. I will be 66 next month. Yeah, I'm tired. He was like, oh, you're right, you old. And I said, well, that wasn't the thing to say. He said, well, that's what you just told me. And I said, and I am. So it's old lady time out. Do you mind? He said, knock yourself out. And I said, and then I moved those couches yesterday. He said, that wasn't my fault. You should have called me. You should have called you. I said, I know. I said, but I like to move things when I like to move things. You weren't available, and I did it. But I'm just saying, when I declare I'm tired, don't talk about me being a wimp. I'm old. So we did all that. So I had to come back and take another shower. Especially because that shed, you don't know what's in there, scorpions or whatever. And what I found, a few things, some books of mine that I might sell from here on YouTube, autographed, maybe. I don't know if I want to do all that work. I don't know if I want to do all that work, but I might, because they're there. And I need to learn new things and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Then we came inside. And this was the beautiful thing. He started asking me questions about the book, before he got here. because he realized how late in the game he got in my life. People be having babies early. I waited till, I was called a geriatric pregnancy, 35. And then they want to stick that needle in you. And I got there, and I saw that needle. And then I looked at my husband, and I said, if it says it's got Down syndrome or something, I ain't going to do nothing about it. So we could skip the needle. And he said, good, it's good thinking. And then I looked at her, and she said, well, at least do you want to know the gender? And I said, no. I said, oh, Eric said no. And I said, oh, I don't know. She says, well, let me ask you this. Do you have any kids now? And I said, yeah, 5 boys. And she said, and I said, are you kidding? She said, yeah, I'm looking at her right there. And I think that's my husband, because whether it's X or Y, it comes from him. And he's had 4 boys with another woman and 2 boys with me, so he couldn't do girls. But anyway, so we came in, and Eric, some other stuff, we were doing. We would have to take a moment, because sometimes we would run into his stuff in there, and we also run into a suitcase with my mother's stuff in there, and realize we had put that stuff in there in bags because we couldn't deal with them. And we would look at each other. Shall we open it? Shall we not open it? Do. And we did all right. And we did all right. And then we came in and started looking at pictures, which was not. Well, actually, it was okay. But it was pictures of my early life. And every once in a while, he would see one of his dad and go like this. But, it just... When you got a guy that was so constant in your life, so positive, so right there for you, and he was right there for those boys. I mean, just incredible. It's a hard not have. My 5 or 6 called me and says, I used to call Dad every morning. I said, I know. But anyway, I didn't mean to get sad. I apologize. So we were going through pictures of when I was a little girl and when I was a kid, and I ran into a letter that my father wrote me in 1979. So that meant I was probably a sophomore probably a junior. Yeah, because my sister was a senior, and he typed up a letter. This is it. He typed it up. He typed a letter to his daughters. And he did it with, it was back in the day. So he had his secretary type it once. He dictated it, type it once. So he would have the letter and a carbon copy to send to each of this. And he just said funny stuff. He said, like, Dear Kathy and Lynn, I am sending you joint letters in order to save time. That's how he was. He says, Lynn, Kathy, here's $150 in your account. Lynn, I'm enclosing a check, $100 made payable to you. Why she got $150 and I got $100? I don't know. But he was telling us, don't worry about it. His sister got to medical school, and Lynn, if you were getting law school, of course, I'll pay for everything. And he gave us an update on what my mother was doing in the home. And then he says, he tells us about a stock he purchased that was a Bonanza, Buckeye Federal. I purchased at $9 a share. Since that time, the stock is split, and even after that split, it is quoted in the financial pages as $18 per share. So, which means that in addition to the dividends that we receive on the stock, the value of the same has increased more than 2-fold. Now, you see, this is the kind of stuff he thought we should know. We love you both, period. And here's the hilarious part. Call at any time for any problem or socially. I just thought that was hilarious. That was Pops. Pops was a different kind of dude. He was 5'2" tall, a lawyer, and went to war, got a bronze medal for leading an all-black troop that was... they would go into the trenches in the Solomon Islands with flamethrowers. Tough work. but he did it. And anyway, that made my day. I was like, ooh, I remember Daddy. And then Billy Zay, I'm sorry, it's not supposed to be. 606 says, yeah, well, you're like that with that. I said, but he's like me. And we were all trying to figure out where we got from and this and that. It was just funny. But anyway, I had a great afternoon. I had a great day because I was hot outside in the sun and talking to my son and even though I haven't found some places to go outside the house, which I need to do more, I'm working on it. You know, I'm just on a whole new PIP. I'm gonna do my hair when I can. Can I show you one more thing? This is me and Big Boy. All righty. And what I've decided to do was make some structural changes. Now, master bedroom is through here. I created this partition from like different parts of kinds of wood, and I'm going to copy the pattern from down here, right, up here, except in black and white to match the thing. And then this is going to be a partition. And then when I'm done with that, you'll be able to see the nursery and like a sitting room right next there. And then I decided to make a structural change down here. I'm adding a bathroom, so I got to trim it out, and this is just a thin piece of wood, so I was just measuring for a thicker piece of wood. And I'm going to put a bathroom in there and a utility room in there. I have no sense. Nobody ever said I did. But I'm going to have a good day, one in which I engage with the world in a manner other that does not involve DoorDash, Instacart. It might involve Hobby Lobby, but that means I'm going to go there and meet other Hobby Lobbyists in the Hobby Lobby store. I like it when you meet somebody in your aisle and you guys are doing kind of the same stuff. All right. Y'all be good. They keep telling me, and I keep saying like and subscribe, forgetting to say like and subscribe, and that my email is downstairs. My email is downstairs in the link tree down there. If you want to have a question, that's where you go. Now, bye.